welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're doing our monthly debrief for July of 2024. So you are watching this kind of in the middle of August. Sorry about that.
It's not that bad. Today's the 9th. You'll get this up by next Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah,
right?
Which is like, well...
So it'll be the 12th, 13th, or 14th. Which is not bad. I know, but... I mean, even if we shot it on the first day of the month.
Yeah, if we shoot it on the 1st or like the 31st of the previous month.
It'll be like the first week.
We usually get the first week.
Well...
You get what you get.
We appreciate you watching.
Yes.
We do.
So...
and I like shooting these things. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, and a big part of the reason why this one's a little bit later, some of them we just don't have an excuse. This one, we're kind of in the middle of convention season, right?
Yeah.
I was on vacation. I was in the UK visiting family, but
Weren't you fighting with Lord Nelson?
Yes, I was.
Fighting off the Spanish at Trafalgar and wherever else. I don't know.
Yeah, I was able to visit Fort Nelson on the hills overlooking Portsmouth.
Was that really cool?
It was very cool. Because it's a really cool old fort from the 1860s, but inside of it is a massive artillery museum. Like, they have genuine, like, Battle of Waterloo prize French pieces that they took off the field.
Nice.
There's World War I guns, there's World War II guns. They've got modern stuff.
Like, do they have any German guns, or is it all British stuff?
So they have it's a lot of British stuff, but they had smatterings of other things. So there was some Russian World War II kind of small anti-tank pieces.
Do they have any 88s?
They do have a Flak 88. Yeah.
How big were those?
Very big.
They look so big.
Well, but they're also so iconic looking. Like you can spot on an 88 a mile away. But they had a 5.5-inch cannon. They had a 25-pounder, a 17-pounder. All these British guns that I had grown up making little Airfix models of, and us shooting each other on my dad's model railway. Like it was very, very neat, and it was free to get in. Like it was really cool.
Nice.
So that's what I was doing. You were at WBC and then at Gen Con subsequently, so we might be a bit late off, getting started.
Well, we literally...
we've got stuff.
You left 3 weeks ago, basically yesterday.
Yeah.
Because the night's Friday. 3 weeks ago, we played, I think it was the 19th of July.
Yes.
We played a game. I don't even remember what game we played. It doesn't matter. But you left. I went to WBC. I came back and went to Gen Con. And then you came back. You were gone for like 10 days, 11 days.
Yeah, which covered two full weekends. So that's...
And I was playing games. I was at WBC But this first time we've gotten back together, even though you've been back for a week, we just haven't been able to get back together. Yeah, I got back on Sunday,
and then it was a work week, and so.
But I did go to WBC. I have a full debrief. I think it recorded. I think everything is good. It's probably going to upload after everything, probably the last thing.
Yeah, you'll see that later in the month.
Probably. I did a car video for at least 22 minutes, and then it overheated.
More about that later.
We have that problem every time we shoot a car video, I think. Almost every time.
And every time it happens, I'm like, oh, we need to get like a shield.
Right, we need to like buy a shield that we can put around it
and I've like
up against the window.
And I can't find anything that is convincing.
Because I was so proud of myself. I was in the car. I was about hour 2.5 into the trip. I had pulled over to the user restroom and get a soda. And I spent about 20 minutes trying to get that suction cup on the window and get the camera set up right and get it all... And then I was like, ooh, I got my mic on, and I knocked my mic on the ground. I had to pick it up, not while I was driving. And then I got everything, and then I was being attacked by a finch. Like, literally, he was attacking the window. And he kept hitting the window, and he was pooing all over the window because he was really pissed. And finally I said, okay, I'm going. And I hit record and left, and then I was 20 minutes into it. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And then I looked at her, I was like, oh, crap, it's off.
So, for reference, that's what the topic for today is related to.
Yeah.
Either you will have seen this car video or it will be out very soon.
Well, I think it's actually scheduled for like in a day or day and a half.
So you will most likely have watched that. So this is kind of an addendum to that because it didn't get finished.
The other thing I thought was funny about it is I had zoomed in on my face and I couldn't get myself zoomed back out, and I was like, screw it. And my head's cut off.
I don't think the camera was on securely because it goes back and forth. But it doesn't do this. It's just side to side.
Okay, so I have something to admit. I put the suction cup on
upside down.
So I couldn't get it to raise to the level that it normally would raise to. So that was problem number one. And then problem number two, I had no up and down control, only lateral. So it was a cluster. But you know what?
It was your first outing with it, and good for you.
I did it.
It got done.
So, anyway.
People are going to see this stuff.
But that topic of solo games, we're going to talk about tonight, because we had, I had a whole frickin' list. I had a whole list taped onto my...
And you got
I got about right here, give or take.
Yeah.
And I kind of jumped around, and these are big, right? I could see that from my...
That's the most preparation for a video that's ever happened at this channel, by the way.
Because I knew I needed to, because I
would have had the list on the phone.
Yeah, or normally you would have been like looking at the list, or you'd have been like, oh, what about this game? And looking at a game while we're talking. This was all me. So anyway, you'll see that. Don't laugh. Don't leave the channel.
So today's video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games.
Noble Knight Games, you say?
Yes, which we're very grateful for their sponsorship, but a bit more about them later on.
But they're rad.
They're the best.
How many games have I bought from them in the last couple of months? I kind of went on a tear there. I got the Caucasus campaign from them.
I don't like to talk about buying games from them. I mean, I love to do it, and we do it a lot, but it's also,
Anyway, it's an addiction. I've actually been proud of myself. I haven't bought a game for a couple of weeks since WBC.
Okay, we need to stop talking about buying games, because now I'm like, you're right. We haven't bought one in a while. That means that I'm due to buy one.
The sickness arises. Yeah.
So, great. So very briefly, let's run through WBC. Because they're going to be watching these videos. Let's talk about let's quick fire the games that you kind of went through.
Yeah.
Because there's a full debrief and all this stuff.
So I was there from Wednesday the 24th at about noon through Sunday the 28th. I left at about 6:30 in the morning, give or take. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah,
so I just left.
I get it. I know that's like.
But so I was there for 3.5 days, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, 3.5 days. I played 13 games, which was a real good number.
That's a very large number.
I did 7 video interviews, 1 car video, and a debrief video upon returning. I also will say that I bought, and you might as well just go ahead and...
Oh, so I've got just some of the highlights.
I didn't bring all the games I bought. I probably bought 10 games.
The game I was most excited for was Thunder on the Mississippi, which is the brand new Great Campaigns of the American Civil War title from Multiman Publishing.
There was a run on those, by the way. When I got there were only a couple left. I'm really glad I went.
Yes, I'm glad you did too.
And I think they opened at 10, and I was there at about 10:40, and they were almost gone. So I got lucky to get one.
Because we'd had this on pre-order and I'd cancelled it because they're like, cancel it this week and pick it up at WBC. So I'm glad that happened. But yeah, this is the Grant's 1863 Vicksburg campaign.
Not this Grant. No. U.S. Grant.
This is Unconditional Surrender.
Who Grant. I'm named for.
Yes. But I'm very, very excited to play this Vicksburg campaign. I've listened. I'm in volume 2 of Shelby Foote's Civil War narrative, so I've just finished reading all of that.
Vicksburg's it's very interesting because it ultimately devolved into a months-long siege.
Yes,
right. Of the, Vicksburg is on the Mississippi, and it was shelled by Union gunboats, and they dug trenches and caves, and they were starving, and it was one of those things that I think had it happened a week or two earlier. Because it happened about the same time as Gettysburg.
Yes.
Gettysburg ended on July 3rd, and I want to say this completed in July 3rd.
Yes.
Or 4th.
It was right around that time as well.
So it's like we had 2 major victories. Gettysburg was probably the bigger of the victories, right?
Yeah, sure.
But historically, it's like those 2 competed for time and space, and I think Gettysburg got more attention, although I think Vicksburg was really very, very important. It broke the back of the South in the South.
A siege is less...
It's less
glamorous than
than
the massive pitched battles that were fought outside Gettysburg. So that's part of it.
And it was vicious. I think a lot of the civilians suffered. But
to me, Gettysburg, you get a Gettysburg game, you fight a Gettysburg game.
Yeah.
the campaign surrounding Vicksburg
is way
is the
interesting.
fascinating part of it, really.
Have you clipped this yet?
No, I just opened it and nosed through it.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to see what this looks like.
Sure.
And how it plays. I'm very excited for it. And then,
yeah, so pretty exciting. I'm glad I did look for Battle in the Clouds.
Yeah, Battle Above the Clouds.
They said they didn't have it.
Yeah, I'm not.
And I asked the question, did you have it 45 minutes ago? And they said yes. So I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll go next year.
They only said they had one copy though.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
So they said somebody got it, and I couldn't get away from my game. So
No.
I'm admitting my
It's totally
mistake.
fine. That's what they always do. They always have like the one they found in the warehouse that year. Happens every time. But then you also, this was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
To take Washington, which is Jubilee's 1864 campaign.
And this is the Line of Battle series?
Yes.
So it's a brand new series. I think it has 2 or 3 volumes. This is number 3, I think.
And we have not played these. And
I saw it and I was like, dang, I'll get it.
I'm pretty sure this also has a very good reputation as well.
Yeah.
People really like it.
Did it? It was only, $60. That's not bad. This is a big game.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's got a lot of maps. Blah, blah, blah.
3 maps.
3 maps.
800 counters.
Yeah, so it's 3 counter sheets.
Got 12 scenarios.
Yeah. And it's a heavy box. It's hefty.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff. So this will be something really nice and interesting.
They didn't have any of the other volumes, or I probably would have bought them for you.
Well,
they just had number 3.
But yeah, so
So these were 2 games that I bought. I also
what else did you pick up?
I also bought Panzer Battles on the Cheer River, SCS.
Oh yeah, you got that. Nice. Nice.
It was number 19, I think.
Yes.
I picked up.
We don't have that.
We do not.
This one here.
I hate you so much. You snuck that one in somehow. Damn it! Oh, well, we have 2 copies. Sorry about that.
Oh, no.
I'm a total moron. What else did I get? I got Storm Over Stalingrad, that Storm Over series that we enjoyed.
Nice.
So that was a classic game. Very affordable. I want to say it was $35.
Was it like new and shrink and stuff?
New and shrink, and they had 4 or 5 of them. I also bought, and I don't know why I did it, ASLSK number 4.
Oh, sure. No, yeah. I remember you said
the Pacific.
That. Yep.
I opened it up. I've already started messing around with it. I'm pretty excited about it.
Nice.
It looks pretty cool. I also bought an expansion for it. It was like a $20 magazine expansion.
That particular stuff.
Well, it actually has for everything in the starter kit series, but it has a lot of stuff for, it has like Chinese forces, more American forces. So I got it. It was like $20. I bought, the hell else did I buy? Oh, I got the gentleman that did World at War 85, Keith Tracton.
Yep.
I bought his new Raider Drop Zone.
What's that about?
It is a sci-fi hex and counter style war game. Looks very cool, very involved, very deep. I also bought Viva la Mexico, which is a solitaire game from White Dog Games.
Okay.
About the Mexican Revolution. And I bought a couple of other things, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Bought some dice. I bought the special dice for Most Fearful Sacrifice.
Ooh, yeah.
They have the logo
That's
on
right, because Flying Pig were there this year.
Yeah.
They've been gone a couple of years, so that was good to see them back.
I had a video set up with them. They had to cancel it and wanted it to do earlier, and my game of Here I Stand went long, so I had to end up. But I bought that I bought 4 or 5 other things. I can't remember. My mind's kind of melted. But yeah, 13 games. Here I Stand, Pericles with Mark Herman. That was fantastic. Always a treat.
Let's get them down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
these are for
Sorry, Well, I played John Company. Yeah. We played that 6-player.
Good old-fashioned John Company.
Justin Nord sharked me in a jest of Robin Hood. He acted like a sweet and innocent young man, and then he literally kicked my teeth in.
Yeah, we had to...
And it was embarrassing.
I'm pretty sure he got onto our Slack and was like, "Thanks, Grant, for playing."
Yeah.
And we were all just like having a laugh at your expense.
He dominated me. It was over in the second card in the second round.
I freaking love this game.
Oh, it's amazing.
The more I think about it and the plays that we've had of it, it's so fun.
Well, and that was my first play as Robin Hood in the Merry Men. I very much enjoyed it. I had no idea what I was doing. In fact, I was sitting there going, oh, here's what you need to do with the sheriff in my mind, and he was doing those things. So I'm like, okay, I kind of got the sheriff down. But I played that. I talked about Pericles.
You played this with Mark Herman.
Oh, it's just so amazing.
That's how you want to play it.
Mark is such a special guy. He's just genuine, and he's nice, and he's so intelligent, and it's just so easy to talk to him.
Smart.
Very much enjoyed that. This was a surprise game of the con.
I'm also so happy you actually got to play it.
And I played it with...
We've dragged it to a lot of cons.
I played it with the designer.
Oh, nice.
So Kevin McPartland, Russ and Cullen played with me. It's a up to 4-player game.
Okay.
It was just fun. Now, it's about the Maori in New Zealand in like the 1600s.
Is it them contending
tribes? So they are fighting over control of the land, and uses cards with events similar to Conquest of Paradise without a lot of the exploration, but the combat system's very cool.
Yeah.
More often than not, your hits lead to retreats, not necessarily eliminations.
Right.
Although it does degrade you one level. It's just very fascinating. Lots of cool economic. I very much enjoyed it, and I'm so glad I have it. Now that I know the game, we could play it.
Is it pretty easy to teach?
It plays in about 2 hours. I won the game because I literally got some of the luckiest rolls I've ever seen. Kind of like you tonight in our Napoleon's Eastern Empire. It was just fun. I very much enjoyed this game. Beautiful production. I'll probably do a video of that just so we can say I did something on it. I just haven't done that yet. I also had the opportunity to play Hegemony. You and I have played Hegemony once. This was actually my third play. I played with Tom Blessing and his friend Tim. I was the working class.
Did you do it 3-player?
We did it 4-player.
Okay, you did it for 4.
Cullen sat down with us and had a blast. I ended up winning, which was unbelievable to me. I just got the machine rolling and I couldn't be stopped. But this is a great game. It's about classes working to do their things well, right? And you each need each other in some ways, but you're also competing. It's just really good.
Yeah.
I very much enjoy that game. So glad that we have.
Was there a lot of people playing that at WBC?
I saw one other table.
Okay, last year this was on almost every table. There was so many people playing. It was kind of crazy. I've never seen anything quite like it.
Here's what I would say about it. A fantastic game, and now after 3 plays, I would say it's a great game. There's a lot of interesting things. I'm not sure it's a fun game. Does that make sense?
I do. It's a Euro, right? It's heavy Euro.
It's a Euro, and you're kind of pushing things around, but it's like a cool exercise, but it's not like a game like, say, Arcs.
Yeah, Arcs is about moving around, shooting each other, and having some fun, right?
You don't roll any dice in that. It's all kind of scripted. You just have to do the right things.
Yeah.
And you have to respond well. But I enjoy it. I'm just not sure I would say it's an overly fun game. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's cool.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Very much enjoy it. Played Arcs. Got sharked in this one as well. The gentleman that played with us, I've never seen someone grok something so quickly. He only played one time before and had watched 3 or 4 videos. He was showing me things that the next time we play, I'm going to dominate.
Sure.
Because I'm just like, what the heck? How did he do that? A good game. I still have not bought into the hype of this one.
I think it's a good game, but I don't know if it's a great game.
I've enjoyed it. I've played it twice now. I don't feel like there's anything overly unique.
It's one, well, and so
that's one of
those things that we've talked about. We'd like to explore the campaign because I think therein might be some of that uniqueness.
And the interesting thing is this huge box, that's the campaign expansion, right? The base game is inside it, but the base game's like this big.
And if you buy just the base game,
it's very nice.
And if that had come out like 8 to 10 years ago,
it would have been
unique.
Like
the game.
Yep, I would agree
with
that.
And people, it would be like, but you know, it's...
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I also played Here I Stand, Had a Ball.
Love Here I Stand.
6-player game, went 4 turns, and I won as the English, which I still don't know how it happened. But that's now 2 victories in a row for me. One with the Papacy. And now I'm never going to win again.
I'm never going to play again. I'm going to end up
I'm done. But it was amazing. We used my copy, so we had all my cool dice. Not the custom dice, but the colored dice. And that was really nice.
And you also have the nice Cube for Me set in there as well?
I do, yep. So it's pretty nice. Very much enjoyed that. And then I played a couple of 18-card Napoleonics that's coming out from Worthington.
Nice.
Damian Manstrangelo is the designer. Very unique. Uses counters, kind of columns on a board, and you're playing cards matching symbols and types to what you are. You have some effects on there. Very unique. The deck is the way combat is adjudicated, so you pull numbers and you're matching those numbers to you. If you go higher, you hit. If lower, you miss. Very unique game, plays in about 45 minutes.
Nice.
I also played his American Revolutionary Block War game. That's a prototype, doesn't have a name yet. I gave him several examples of names.
Nice.
But had a blast playing that with him. I played The Hunt for John Wilkes Booth. That's coming out from Blue Panther.
That's by Wes Crawford.
By Wes Crawford. Great little game. I played solo. You can do 2-player.
Is that the one that had the map that looked real?
Yeah, it's like a circular
funky
web, yeah. But it works. Now, I think they're still going to do some
graphic design.
But it really worked well, and actually it was a fun game. Like I was drawing clues out of a bag, trying to match numbers, and it was interesting. I lost, but that's not, it's hard. I also played The Great Hunger, which is coming out from Compass Games, designed by Kevin McPartland.
Okay.
I played, it is a 2 to 4 player game on the Irish potato famine. Now, I know many of you are like, what?
So
You're playing a game
is
on...
it trying to survive?
You are different clans. You are trying to hollow out your control of your area so you can farm, do work in things like factories and on English estates. And then when the potato famine hits, you are trying to exit because you're going to end up expiring because you don't have the land you need to grow what you need. It's just a unique, interesting historical game. And I would say it's a game, so I think people are going to be offended. I'm just going to be honest.
It is an interesting topic for a game.
But
to put it politely,
he's Irish.
Sure. Yeah.
He has a real connection to it. In fact, about 6 of the cards were specifically about his family. I have Irish blood in me. My family came from Belfast area. They came in the 1600s to the United States, so way before the potato famine. But I felt some kinship with it, right? It was an interesting experience, but I know people are going to hate it. I get it.
That's not going to be for everyone.
No,
and it's probably not trying to be.
Compass is producing it, so take that for what it's worth. They do a lot of those kind of games, right? The final game I played was with Greg Smith. I played Sinking Yamato, which is you playing as the battleship Yamato in May of 1945 as it is trying to make its way to defend Okinawa from the Americans. And it literally took 375 plane shots as the Air Force just kept bombing it and torpedoing it. And you're trying to survive. So you're not going to survive. I got terribly destroyed.
It's just trying to not die.
It's trying to get as far as you possibly can. It's unique. It has a lot of choices. You have damage control teams. You get to choose which guns are pointing in which directions for every attack. And then it's just a dice chucking. Yeah. But it's very interesting. You have to do some counter flooding as your ship starts to list because it's taking on water. You have to choose and counter flood some things, but if you take too much, you sink.
You will sink, yeah.
So it's an interesting experience. It's a magazine war game. It's going to play in about 45 minutes. I played that, but then I got to look at a ton of games. Sal Vasta sat down with me, talked about Unconditional Surrender Western campaigns, the Armistice game. He talked about that again. I have a video coming. I talked with Dave Stifler and Bruno Sinigaglio about Cowpens, small BOAR. I talked to Fritz Bronner about Liftoff 2.0. I was going to talk to Ben Hull, but he was busy, and I know you love Ben Hall. He is really smart, by the way. I talked to him for 15 minutes and my head was swimming.
Yes.
But I did a lot. I had fun.
You also played Tattered Flags.
Oh, yes, Into the Whirlpool. Tattered Flags 1, which is by Herman Lettman. We did a video at Buckeye Game Fest, but we didn't play it. I got to play it. Yeah. It's amazing. Think miniature-style war game with hex and counter pieces. Very well done, very cool, very unique and interesting. I think that was it.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
I
miss you dearly.
Yes.
But I had a good time.
I had a very different gaming experience whilst I was on vacation.
How many Euros did you play?
Not as many as I thought we were going to. I ended up playing Too Many Bones from Chip Theory Games.
That's okay. It's fun.
I liked it a lot more the second time.
See, I've played it 4 or 5 times.
Oh, see, I'd only played it the very first time we played it. We played it a couple times. Hadn't played it since. We played it a couple times. It was enjoyable. I had a good time with that.
It's not my style of game, but I did enjoy it.
And then we played The Crew.
Yeah, I love that game.
But we played the sequel, like the Underworld. It's the same game.
Okay.
That was really fun. And then we played Cryptid, which is... Okay.
I know that game from Osprey.
Yeah, it's like...
Never played it.
It's this very abstract deduction game where each of you has a different booklet. Mm-hmm. And the scenario is you get one number, you get one number, you get one number, and I get a number.
Okay.
And that corresponds to one of the 99 clues in your booklet.
Okay.
And so your clue will say, like, is in desert or forest. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to find the cryptid on this geomorphic map that changes.
And you know it's in desert or forest.
I know it's in desert or forest. Well, there's a lot of desert or forest.
Okay.
So your clue will say is within 2 spaces of a standing stone.
Okay.
And his is within 3 spaces of bear country. And the clues and the scenarios are set up such that there is only one viable spot that it can be. It's very, very clever.
Okay.
And so it's a lot of like, you're trying to figure out what everyone else's clue is without giving away what yours is. And so you're asking these questions, could you go here? And they say yes or no. And if they say no, you know it's not there, but then they also have to say where they can't put it. So they're giving away little... So it's this deduction game. It's really fun.
I'm surprised you didn't do like Battlestar Galactica.
We just didn't have the time for that kind of thing. And then...
That's a game I know you love and you don't get to play it very often.
I do, but I'm the one who owns it, and I'm...
Sure, you're not going to lug it over
there. So we just played lots of little games like that.
Okay.
So it was fun, but nothing wargaming in the end is how it ended up.
Well, we did play other games in July.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and, while we're talking about games we played, here, you want to talk about Striking Flint?
Striking Flint, also not a war game. This is
a communist game.
This is a cooperative game about...
I say that tongue-in-cheek, just FYI.
Different factions going on strike.
The United Auto Worker strike in 1937
in Flint. And so...
Unique game.
You know, so one of you... I think there is like a communist party. There's like the Veterans, Association.
There was one that was like female workers or something.
Because I think it plays 4, but I think there's 5 factions from which you choose. And they have these unique asymmetric abilities. There's a full review of this coming. This is this little kind of worker placement game.
I enjoyed it.
That, it's not just putting guys out to make an economy. You're putting guys out on strike. And then you're having to then use those to like fight off, scabs and the authorities.
I think in essence, the game is really kind of like reverse worker placement. You're putting workers out to stop the government, or not the government, Ford, or General Motors, I guess, from being able to do what they need to do. So it's like you're going in spots to stop them from doing it. It's very unique.
Yeah, it's unworker placement. Like it's a really fun little game.
Yeah, I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I was surprised we won. I'm not going to say easily because it was tough, but we won, and I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, we did. And so there's ways to make it more difficult, which I would look into the next time I played this.
Although we looked into that, and we decided that would be crushingly difficult.
But
but would be a little more challenging.
Yeah, I think that might be.
I think it was challenging. I just think we worked well together and we did what we needed to do. This is from Hollandspiel, Jean Dubois, the same guy that did Heading Forward.
Yes, and like most things from Hollandspiel, it is a unique topic. You've never played a game on this. And it was an opportunity to read some of the stuff on the cards and in the back of the book to have a bit of a learn about what went on. Because I didn't know about this. I know you
I knew about it, but I didn't know much about it. It is solo, and I've said I'm going to try to play it solo. I just haven't got around to it.
And I think solo, you just play a couple of the factions, right?
Yeah, I think you play like 2 or 3 of the factions. Put that over there with the other games. We also played Burning Banners.
Oh, Burning Banners.
That was our 3rd play?
Back to Wargames.
Oh, yeah. That was our 3rd play of this game? Second play. I love this game.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good about it. I really can't.
We played this 4-player at Buckeye Game Fest earlier in the year. We did it 2-player to kind of see what that difference was like and to see some of the different scenarios and factions in it.
Well, the good thing is it has so many different player count scenarios.
Yes.
We did a 2-player scenario. There's 3-player, there's 4-player. I think there's even more, right? Like
you can
5,
do up to 6.
6, yeah.
And so it was really enjoyable, had a blast with it. It's stunning, it's beautiful. We have a full review of this coming out where we kind of talk about the differences between the player counts and some of the different factions that you get and what you can expect from this.
2 to 6 right there, yeah.
This one also...
It's a fantasy war game. It's great.
I do have the Cube for Me tray in this.
I've got that as well.
Which it's all these like deck boxes basically because it's a lot of different components in there, but it works really well and it fits all in.
The thing I like about this game is it is a mix of Mage Knight and like a Titan, right? Where you're building your...
much simpler than both of them.
Oh, no, I agree.
In a good way.
Mage Knight, because you're going out and exploring like dungeons and caverns and you're trying to fight creatures.
So heavy.
Oh, it's so heavy. You're trying to fight creatures that give you experience points and magic items. You're also trying to recruit guys and take over cities so that you can bring them closer. And then it's just about combat and a bunch of dice chucking.
But where Mage Knight is like a racing game,
this isn't. This
one is a competitive combat game, which I really like that.
And it's very fun.
But you get the big spells and doing stuff. Yeah, it's just fun.
Grab the War of 1812. So these are 2 brand new. These are called travel size war games. Solitaire war games. This is Pacific War 1942 Solitaire from Worthington.
This is War of 1812 Solitaire.
They use the same systems, right? Almost a modified...
So I played this one. You've played both, right?
I've played both, yes. It's a modified States of Siege series. You've got different tracks and you're trying to push...
This is the mounted map.
Greatest little board. And you can fold this thing like so many different ways. It's just so cool. I just love it.
Look at the back.
It's so cute.
Oof.
And it's about dice rolling, right? Everything's about a die roll. You got to attack this ship and you got to attack this fort, and they're just really well done. They're very challenging.
Yeah, I got crushed when I played this.
They're very tied to dice rolling. So if you're a terrible die roller, just forget it. The first game I played of this one, I scored 8 points, which is a loss.
I think I scored 9, which is also a loss.
The next time I played this one, I scored like 16, which is a draw. I've recently, as of today, I played this over lunch, I scored 23, most I've ever scored, so that's a crushing victory. I scored 24 on this one. And now I've been crushed in both of these, so it changes every game. It's very well done. I very much enjoy it. And they're so cute. Look at that.
And it says victory within 30 minutes. That's genuinely true. I think I played mine in 20
minutes, yeah. And you can lose real quick.
Yeah, and you know, you have choices in where you attack. It's more about like where you're choosing to attack, and then you're rolling some dice. Hopefully, you've got your modifiers in the line.
Just look
neat
at those
little games
from Worthington, and I think they're like $35. They could do any number of things.
Yeah, they could.
They could do European theater. They could do World War I. I mean, they could do anything.
You know,
I hope they do some more of
and
these.
And just understand what they are, right?
Yeah.
If you understand where they sit.
Plays in 20 minutes, and it's a lot of die rolling. There are decisions, but it's about die roll, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
The agency that you have is where and when to do that.
I played these 2 games with my wife. It was a blast. I shot video reviews for both of these.
Those are in the works.
General Orders World War II. This is a World War II worker placement game designed by David Thompson and made by Osprey. Fantastic little game. So fun. Paisley loved it. We played this 3 times, I think, and I think she'll play it again.
This was like the hit of Gen Con last year.
It was like $35, and it's really cute and she really enjoyed it. Now, Scope Panzer from Draco Ideas, she also loved this. This is all cards. You build a battle board that's like a certain amount of cards wide by a certain amount of cards long. You hide your cards in there so they're upside down. They all look the same on the back. And you take turns moving and shuffling your guys around, and then you can do recon, and then you can fire when you find units. You're trying to kill their units or take their back row. Very hard to do that.
Sure.
We played this one twice. She had a blast with it. I very much enjoyed it. So those were 2 little games that I got her to play with me. I was surprised she agreed.
I think outside of all that, we have kind of a lot of the typical rally the troops style gaming that we've been doing. Things like Andy and Abyss, which will continue to show up.
Friedrich.
Friedrich's the new one on there that I've been playing.
I played it once.
I think I've played 3 games and I'm in a few more.
I'm terrible at it.
And the first game was very much like trying to figure it out and make it work, and I was real bad. And then I played as the Austrians and kind of kicked some ass and won it.
Well,
handily.
I have Sweden and Russia.
Yes.
In my game. Sweden has been destroyed twice now.
Yes.
I just have no idea what to do with them. And Russia, I'm so far away from everybody that I'm just now getting into combat.
Yes. That's good, though, because it's not about combat, it's about taking territory.
No, I get it, and I'm trying to control some territories.
If you go and control your territory because everyone else is distracting the Prussians, you're golden.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
I really, really, really like it.
I want to play the board game.
Yes.
I have it.
Seeing your card draws and then that deciding in which sectors you can and are willing to fight or defend is such an interesting part of that, because that really dictates where you go and the pace of things.
Yeah.
And so you might do stuff that's really inefficient, but that's what you have to do because that's what you've got. It's a really, really, really interesting system.
And I'm figuring it out, but I'm getting crushed, and that's okay. I feel bad for the other guys that are in my game because I think they know what they're doing.
They're like, you idiot.
But that's okay.
Wilderness War, enjoying that.
I'm getting crushed in Wilderness War right now.
Love Wilderness War.
British have taken everything but Louisburg.
just concede.
Well, but it's just like I can't do anything about it. I've never drawn my 2 regular cards, right? The ones that give me 3 4s.
The French ones?
Never drawn them. And it's like I have no troops. And that is my one complaint about that game. Because it always ends up being like that for me with the French.
See, I
never do well with the French, ever. I love it. I love playing the game, and I love doing the raiding. It's fun as hell.
I got auto defeated as the British.
How?
I couldn't draw any of my regulars, and I got raided the hell out of, and I got into too many combats, and I would lose the combat by like 1 pip on a die.
Okay.
And I just lost. You just lose so many victory points doing that, and oh my gosh.
Well, the only fun thing I had in that game was one time he left whatever on the bottom of the map over there by the falls of the Ohio.
It's called Ohio Forks.
Ohio Forks. He left like 1 army with 1 or 2, and I decided, while he's futzing around in the center, I'm going to run Montcalm all the way down there, and I crushed him, pushed him back, crushed him again. So I gained 3 or 4 victory points from that, and then I couldn't get back before I winter retreated. I screwed up. I screwed up with counting my cards, so I lost most of those forces, and it was over after that. But I love that game. I always have a good time
I really
playing
enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm also in some rolling games of Hammer of the Scots, which I'm really enjoying.
Good.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah.
And invariably you get into just like these... Because I play it with Cullen.
Yeah.
And... some of the combat's like fine. Whenever it's
a hard game.
Whenever it's the King of England or William Wallace, who it's always a bloodbath.
Got it.
Those guys always roll so hard, and we'll have like, it'll be like, oh, you take 8 hits, and you're like, okay, that eliminates my whole army. And it happens every time.
All the time.
When it's those guys who like fire first, and they'll just wipe in it. It's this really interesting dynamic we've got going on. It's wonderful.
I've played that game 3 or 4. I really enjoy it. I'm just not very good at it. And that's fine.
I really enjoy that.
I'm not good at a lot of games.
I've played a bunch of Plantagenet. I think I'm done with Plantagenet.
I would like to play it with you so I can learn it.
Sure.
Sure.
I might be done with Levian campaign.
It's not my...
That's a real broad statement, but I've played 3 of them now, and...
I really liked it at first. I loved Nevsky.
I liked some of the... Nevsky is my least favorite.
Well,
now.
and now that I played Almoravid, I like Almoravid more.
And I think Almoravid might be my favorite of the 3 that I've played.
Okay.
Plantagenet's good, but it feels so... Imagine Nevsky.
Yeah.
And then you put Washington's War on top of it.
Sure.
It's just like we've just made a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's so many different scenarios in it. And a lot of them have their own unique stuff, and it's,
It's just,
It's okay.
And there's so many of those volumes coming out. There's
and people love them. And they're allowed to love them, and good for you if you really like that system.
There are 2 that I'm looking forward to, because they are smaller games. Joe Schmidt's Henry.
Yes.
I think that one looks really interesting, and it's small enough that I think I can really grok the system.
And I think that might...
And worry more about the strategy.
Work well, because I find one of the things that irritates me is the combat system. And the combat system is extremely swingy.
Oh, yeah.
But in a small, shorter game, where you're really going to have 2 pitched battles... It works.
Sure.
Because that Agincourt campaign was built on 2 major combats.
Sure.
So, like, that works for me a bit better in that.
Yeah.
Whereas Plantagenet, we're doing all this work, and 2 hours later we have a pitched battle, and all your work is for nothing because you lost and everyone died.
Got it.
That's so frustrating.
Interesting. The other one I'm looking forward to is Epipolae, which is the Ancients Levian campaign.
Yeah.
So it's the siege of Syracuse. It just looks really interesting and unique.
Well, and I'm very curious to see what changes they make to the combat system, right? To the units, how they function, or is it just the same units and they just change the names of them?
Well, I just did an interview with the designer. It's coming out in a couple of weeks. I'll have to go back and reread it because it's been on there for a month. I've scheduled a month ago. But those are 2 that I'm looking forward to. They seem smaller. Maps are smaller. Less leaders. I think they're going to be easier to
maybe
grok.
less overhead as
yeah,
well.
It's going to be able to. You're going to be able to grok it. So, Time of Crisis, Andean Abyss.
Time of Crisis.
What's the other one? Votes for a Win. I play a lot. I've got a ton of games. I'm trying to finish them up, and I'm going to take a break for a while because I find myself doing that too often and not doing the stuff that I need to, like spending time with my wife.
Yeah, those that kind of stuff, all the stuff that's on Rally the Troops, rallythetroops.com.
Is amazing.
It's this free platform, lots of games. It's really, really good.
It's free.
And they add one, every month or every
2,
other month, and it's
excellent.
It has really been a joy to kind of participate in. So
Agreed.
So looking forward.
What are we going to play for August?
The first one we're going to play.
Well, we already played this tonight.
Bonaparte's Eastern Empire.
Limits of Glory series.
Yeah, this is from Form Square Games out of the UK.
Very much enjoyed the game. It's a bit one-sided, but it's unique, interesting, has a lot of very cool mechanics. Love the activation, love the continual activation. I really like the combat system, even though the use of glory it's just tough on the coalition.
It is a light 2-player war game that's going to take you anywhere from 90 minutes
to 3 hours
to 2.5, 3 hours.
Yep.
But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's their first go at a game. I'm looking forward to more from this. See what more they're going to do, if they're going to add to the system, or if it's just kind of a bit more lateral. I'd love to see more.
Game number 2, or campaign number 2, is called Maida 1806, and then they also have a Capri add-on to that as well. So I look forward to seeing what it's going to become. I enjoyed it. It's going to be a really good solo game. I think we both agreed. Although it doesn't have a solo bot or any flowcharts, you just need to play it.
You can very easily solo it with a couple of modifications to a couple of the very early things that you will then never use ever again.
Yeah.
So there's a review of this coming out.
I enjoyed it though. I really did enjoy it, even though I got my teeth kicked in. We're also going to play this
Assault on Gallipoli 2nd Edition.
I have the first edition. But so this is obviously 1915, the Anzac campaign in Gallipoli. 2-player game, very good production, and Hexasim really upgraded it. Like the art is a little better, a little more refined.
So this is from Gecko Games. We actually had the first edition, and it was a bit of an unwieldy box.
A little bit.
And it was done by them, and good for them. It was good effort, but yeah, Hexasim kind of picked it up and ran with it, and the artwork is much improved.
So this just came out literally, like I want to say a week or two ago. If you don't mind, if you want to unbox it, because I didn't unbox it. But we're going to play this one, definitely. Kieran Oakley is the designer. I have an interview on the blog from 2 years ago on this. So that's one we're going to play. In a couple of weeks, on a Saturday, we're going to play Lords of Heaven from Phalanx. This is a 2 to 4 player area control look at the Crusades. So there are two
third Crusades, I would presume.
Yeah, there are 2 Christian players that are playing together but separately, and then there are 2 Muslim players that are playing separately but together. Looks very cool. You're going to be building like churches and cathedrals and mosques. Area control's a big part. Combat's a big part. It has custom dice.
So yeah, this is a prototype for upcoming crowdfunding, I presume.
I think it's in the end of August.
Yeah,
I want to say the 27th.
We've got friends coming down. We'll get this played.
It looks really good. The production is high quality. Phalanx always does.
Yeah, even the prototypes, like the pictures and stuff, will almost all be
Art's
final.
very good.
But yeah, they knock it out of the park with their stuff.
We're going to do a video on this, but I've also got an interview going with the designer. So that's game number 3 we're playing in August. And the 4th game we are going to play, and I probably need to take, this is like a counter replacement for something. I need to figure out what it is. We're going to play, from Against the Odds magazine, we're going to play Almost a Miracle. So this is the American Revolution in the Northern Theater. Hex Encounter war game, beautiful map. I want to show you the...
Is this related to Tarleton's Quarter?
It is. This is the Northern Theater, whereas that was the Southern. This came out during COVID, and I jumped on it because it looks amazing. I think the board looks really cool. It's big.
This is like a half map.
Yeah, it's like that's Canada, basically. So that's Canada, it goes here. This is New England. So it literally is the northern states. Virginia's on the south here, and the action's up here.
So is this like an area
area movement, but it uses counters. Very cool little combat system. American Revolutionary War. As you know, I'm a big...
And it's from Against the Odds. Is this part of that one series that we played from them?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Yep. So this one does go along with Tarleton's Quarter, which I also have. But I'm very much excited about this. These are the rules on the other board. This is our Shelf of Shame dust off. It's supposed to be for August. We were going to do it in July, but we did... what did we do? We didn't do one in July. We were going to do Day of Days.
No, because we were going to do Day of Days.
We never got around to playing it.
And I think this was one of the ones that we couldn't get, like, the time was...
Yeah, so this is in August. We should have done this in July, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's... I
think that's what
that's August.
I am also currently playing Memoir 44 on Board Game Arena.
Oh.
So my brother in the UK,
nice.
he was like, "Do you have a BGA account?" I was like, Yes, I do.
I do too.
I don't use it very often.
Yeah,
but he was like, "Well, we should play this." So
nice.
we've
Nathan
got
or
yeah, Nathan.
Okay.
So I've got async games of this going on. So I think that might be something that kind of pick up a bit more with.
Memoir 44 is just fun.
Yeah, it's just fun and
it's that Command and Color series.
Move guys around,
Yeah,
chuck your
it's
dice. You know, play your little card.
Well,
I move some guys on the
you
left.
get little miniatures, so it's the toy factor.
Yep.
Not blocks, miniatures. But so I think that's everything that we're either going to play or have played.
I think so.
I'm going to go ahead and move the. So, do we want to talk about Kickstarters at all? I can mention a couple of them.
Sure.
Why don't you go ahead and mention Roger
we'll
McGowan's?
So, real quick.
This is a beautiful book, by the way.
This was just delivered. So this is The Art of Roger B. McGowan. Roger does all the artwork for the old GMT stuff and a lot of older work as well.
You like how he gave us custom?
He gave us a little custom forward, so thank you very much, Roger.
Roger's a very good dude.
But basically, this is, I don't know.
It's the history of all of his art over the past 40 years.
Yeah.
Literally.
And it's, it's got some biographical stuff in it, but it is literally like all of these very, very famous front covers that he's done, work for the General, and, you've played all these games.
Yeah.
And so it's a showcase, it's a gallery.
It's beautiful.
It's this collection of absolutely everything, all the way up until, good gracious, what's he got at the end here? Like Imperial Struggle.
That was just
Labyrinth.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
Versailles 1919.
He still works as the art director.
Yeah, but
for GMT.
You've got stuff from the mid 70s at the beginning of this. Like this really is a really great piece.
Well, and the interesting thing here is this is somewhat autobiographical. He talks about his early childhood, some of his inspirations. He grew up in that time of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So he saw a lot of, Korea and the end of World War II and all of that. I mean, he's my father's age and he's been involved in this for a long, long time. So that's available on their website.
Yep.
Fairly reasonable price. I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's on RBM Studios
RBM
website.
Studio website. But thank you for those gratis copies. I am reading mine. I'm about 30 pages in. I'm also reading another book, so it's competing with time, but I'll get it read. The other ones on Kickstarter and GameFound I wanted to mention, Maida 1806, Bonaparte's Eastern Empire Campaign number 2 from Form Square Games. It is currently on GameFound, is already funded. Lords of Heaven will be, I think it's August 27th, so that's the game that we already showed you. Arabian Struggle from Catastrophe Games is coming to Kickstarter the 27th.
You played that.
I forgot about this and I didn't mention it, but the second night of Gen Con, I invited Tim Densham and his guys from Catastrophe Games. They came over with the 2 guys from Legendary Tactics. They're also content creators.
Those are the Canadians, right?
They're Canadians. They were very nice guys. They brought me some maple syrup, real maple syrup, which was cool. But we played 3-player Arabian Struggle. So if you remember Judean Hammer,
yes,
that game from like 3 years ago, cool little area activation, area control game on the Judean, basically revolt against Rome. Uses the same system. This one uses counters, and I would prefer that they use the wooden pieces, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, I like the wooden pieces.
The counters just seem too big for the board. The wood cubes just are where it's at, but it is literally very combat oriented. It's card driven, so you're playing the events or the ops. You're trying to take over and control areas to score victory points. You're trying to fight off the Ottomans and the British and get them out of territory so you can control them. Just really unique and fun. Had a blast. They destroyed me.
Sure.
I went very combat heavy early on and just got destroyed. But it was fun.
Yes.
I very much enjoyed it. But that is coming to Kickstarter the 27th. I'm going to do an interview for that. Rock of Chickamauga from Flying Pig Games, not coming this month. It's going to probably be September or October. But that's Herman Luttman's follow-up to A Most Fearful Sacrifice.
Getting the same treatment.
Looks amazing. The other one that I wanted to mention, Chicago 68.
That's on right now.
I've backed that, by the way. It was like a $55 game. Card-driven game on the 1968 Democratic National Convention riots in Chicago. Very cool game. You're either playing as the establishment, Mayor Daley and the Chicago Police Department, or the revolutionary protesters, agitators, who are rioting over the Vietnam War and other things. Just a really interesting area control, card-driven game. Beautiful game.
Yeah.
I have an interview on the blog. There are also a series of event card spoilers. It looks fantastic.
I have I have high expectations.
Yes.
In the sense that, like, I don't know if I have high expectations, but I'm hyped for this game. It looks like it's going to be good. It's from the Dietz Foundation, and they dropped the ball on...
Agreed.
Whatever that game was called.
I have a...
March, Freedom, Free at Last.
Free at Last.
But 1979 Revolution in Iran was really good, and this one looks extremely good as well.
It does.
I really, really, really hope that they can kind of get together.
Yeah.
In other Kickstarter news, I am any day now expecting a shipping email for SAS Rogue Regiment.
Oh, nice.
And that will also include D-Day dice.
Okay.
So that package, they're like...
It's on the way.
Yeah. It's not technically, but like, yes. It will ship on Monday, hopefully.
I have a game coming called El Cid. It's Cousins War from Surprise Stare Games. Looks really good. It's a small little game. And then I also have The Last Gamble from Compass Games that I backed months and months and months ago. It's coming. Danny Parker, Battle of the Bulls, huge work.
Yeah.
Yep. Has like 3 maps and 4 or 5 counter sheets, and it's a big game.
Is that part of a series?
No, it's just a designer signature edition.
Oh.
Yep.
Yes.
Looks awesome.
Yes, it's called The Last Gamble for a reason.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember now.
Yeah, looks really good.
I am looking forward to that, because apparently that is a really good game.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
Very big.
All right.
So those are on the way. I've got 2 games on the way.
So now that we have spoken, rambled for about an hour, back to Noble Knight Games, who are the sponsor of this video. Very sorry.
And one thing I want to say about Noble Knight Games, and we kind of mentioned this earlier, they have everything.
Yes.
They have every game you can ever imagine, and if they don't have it now, they're going to get it in eventually.
If you have patience, they have everything.
Put your name on the list, you'll get a notification. But they also have books. They have die-cast miniatures. They have models.
Yes,
they have D&D. They have
models.
Dice. They have it all.
The reality is, if it's
miniatures,
any kind of like nerd collectible,
they've got it.
They will buy it off you.
Yeah.
And you would be able to buy stuff through them for it.
Great company.
They do more than just war games. They do lots of war games, but
And we're really grateful for their sponsorship, because they allow us to do things like go to WBC, buy this nice equipment. By the way, I want to talk to you about upgraded mics that have magnets. They have these Rode mics that have magnets on them.
Instead of the clips?
Yep. So much easier to put on.
Did you use them?
I did. Legendary Tactics had them.
Yeah, well, we'll do that.
So then I could have these for because remember you bought that.
Just for sitting at home.
Well, that iPhone thing.
Did that work?
I tried it and it appeared to work.
Okay.
But I didn't take any video with it because we only have the one set. And the camera worked, but all I'm saying is if in a couple of months, if we want to save up some money, we could try to get those. They're easier to get on.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. No, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not so sure these wouldn't work with those, so then we wouldn't have to do the handheld mics. Or will this only accept 2 channels?
I think this is dual channel. So
okay.
Thanks for sitting with us for some AV discussion.
Sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's good to know.
Anyway.
But yeah, so here's a word from our sponsor, Noble Knight Games.
After all that.
Once again, very grateful for their sponsorship. They provide a great service to the hobby, and I spend too much time on their website.
Yeah.
So today's topic, which if you remember an hour ago, we had mentioned
Solo wargaming.
Yeah, it would be kind of an addendum to Grant's car video that was tragically cut short.
I don't know about tragically.
So, you had been talking about kind of solitaire games, and then it just went because the camera died. So, what we thought we'd do today is, well, let's kind of, finish up that list or have a broader discussion about different solitaire games and what we like. People are constantly asking, "Oh, does this play solo? Oh, does this play solo?" So I think today we're going to talk about games that are solo games. I think
and I think almost all the games that we are talking about today are designed as solo-only games. Typically, they might have a two-player option, or they might be a two-player game that has a very cool, well-developed solitaire system.
Is dedicated.
Yeah, but most of what we're going to talk about today are dedicated solo games.
Yeah, so what you're not going to get is like, oh, I can play this solo. Oh,
and
I can play this solo.
You can do that.
That's not what today is. Today we're going to talk about good, solid solitaire games.
Yeah. And I want to say a couple words about solitaire gaming. I said this briefly in my video, but if you remember, about 5 years ago, I really hated solitaire gaming. I play games because it's fun to be with friends, with you, with our group, playing games, interaction, negotiation, combat.
You like the competition or you like the cooperation.
Yeah. That to me is one of the big aspects of gaming. Now,
agreed.
Up to 5 years ago, I really hated solitaire gaming. But then, about 2018, I started playing solo games. Some of my first games were the Leader series from Dan Versen Games. You love Phantom Leader, and I thought, you know what, if he loves that so much, why don't I pick one that I would enjoy? I loved it, right? We'll talk a little bit about those, but I enjoy a good solo game that has a realistic bot or AI. I don't want it just to be something stupid.
Yeah, there's a couple things with that, right? I want it to be intelligent.
I do, yes.
I want it to do the things that make the most sense for them.
Yep.
But I don't want it to just be a brick wall.
Right.
When
I don't want it to be so obtuse that it's difficult to figure out.
That's If it's so
I want
complex,
it to be easy.
And I have the solo system for the original Labyrinth solo system.
Oh my gosh.
Was tough.
Well, and really, some of the solo systems for these were really, really tough.
The new card-based ones are
much better.
Yeah.
Do you remember the time that we played Fire in the Lake with the
old
bots?
Yeah.
It took, I want to say it took 35 minutes just to do one of the bots' turns.
The Pendragon bots are worse.
Oh, it's just
Those are bad.
So that's not what I want.
No.
Right? When I do a solo game, I want it to be grokkable, fairly intuitive. I want it to be easy to play. I want it to be somewhat realistic and make realistic decisions. And I don't always just want die rolling. Now, I realize sometimes die rolling is just what you're going to have to do. And it never bothers me if I have the ability to mitigate those die rolls in some way, either by spending a resource or adding a modifier. Those are the kind of die rolling games that I enjoy.
Or these, where it's
20-minute game,
extremely fast, extremely low stakes,
and it's all die rolling.
And it is a bit of die rolling,
but it's fine.
I don't care
because it's easy to set up. The bot is very simple. You roll a die and you do what it says, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
When you're playing those games, you're like, oh, okay, that made sense. I like that.
Yes.
So the games that got me hooked is what I kind of wanted. I didn't want to talk about every single solo game that I've ever played.
That would be impossible.
Well, I could do a 30-hour video on that, literally.
For real.
I could go over every single game that I ever played. Let's talk about the Leader series first, because that was my first true experience with solitaire wargaming. So I'm going to get a couple over here that I brought, and you've got a couple.
So I have Thunderbolt Apache Leader, and I have Phantom Leader.
I have Sherman Leader and Gato Leader.
And so this is part of the Leader series from DVG, Dan Versen Games. A lot of these it's funny, we picked kind of 4 real different ones, huh?
We did, yeah. And I actually picked these intentionally because I had Corsair Leader and B-17 Leader, but Stuka Leader, I wanted the ones that I that we don't have.
Oh, I do have IAF Leader, but I've not played that.
Don't you have
one.
Zero Leader here as well, I think, somewhere?
Kicking around somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, so...
we have so many games.
Phantom Leader was the first one I ever played, and this is... all of these are ones where you like you have a squadron or a group, you have an amount of something, be it pilots, airplanes, tanks, submarines, and you are then taking them on a number of missions over the course of a campaign. And that's the joy of it. If you play one mission, it's fine.
It's fun.
It's okay.
The real payback in this series, in my opinion, is the attachment that you gain to the guys that you're developing. You start them as rookies. A lot of the games call them the same thing. I think green.
Yeah, green.
Then you go to trained and regular and then expert, and then you typically become
veteran
or an ace. Yeah. But the concept of being attached to a certain number of soldiers that are named, right?
Named them.
You named them. You have pictures. You have in your mind, okay, here's who this guy is. He's good at this. Here's what he does. Then you're spending resource points, which is a limited and scarce resource, to buy upgrades. Some of them have skills. Some of them are different types of weapons or vehicles or armaments, or I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, but there's a lot of choice in that. Now, sometimes it boils down to, okay, I've got to take this style of torpedo and this style of bomb because that's what's going to do the most damage. But
you're over the course of the campaign, you cannot keep tapping that resource.
No.
Because they will get exhausted.
Yep.
And
they get stressed.
You're managing that stress. Okay, these guys are going to fly this mission. We need to rest those guys.
Yeah.
These guys are going to fly the next one.
Yep.
We're going to rest those guys. Let's go back.
These guys are going to go out into this patrol, but they got stress. I got to let them rest. Now, they may be my best guys, but I can risk it. But they're going to be less effective.
Or, oh man, we lost someone, they died. They got replaced with someone who's green. Great.
They're not good.
We can't send all the green guys out together, so I got to spend out my experts with the green guys. But then the expert is like really doing the heavy lifting. He's going to get stressed.
A lot of stress.
Or might die because he's doing the dangerous stuff. And the green guy's like, I'm just here for the ride.
And the green guys, they miss a lot. Because they don't get die roll modifiers, and more often than not, you're trying to roll a 7, 8, 9, or a 10 on a 10-sider,
but they have to get the experience to get it.
And they have to go out on missions and be effective. But to me, that's the joy in this series of games. The other joy to me is that there are innumerable scenarios.
Oh yeah.
My gosh, in each one of those, I bet there are 20 different scenarios and campaigns. They almost all have that. Some of the new ones, like Corsair Leader, Zero Leader, Stuka Leader, you have like 50 scenarios, and it's almost ridiculous.
And they have like a million expansions, a lot of the new ones do too.
But you can buy this, now you can't buy this game. You can't find it anywhere. But you can buy these games, and you're gonna get hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
And you're actually gonna have a different experience every time. The AI system works very well.
Yep.
It's fairly intuitive. It plays off of die rolling, but it makes sense.
And it's reactive usually to the kinds of things you're doing.
And you're not making decisions for these guys. You're rolling dice and consulting charts, and they do what they're going. Some of the other solo series that we've played, I'll think of like Heroes of the Falklands and Heroes of Normandy. They have a solo system, but you're ultimately making the decisions.
It's
for
like
them.
7 flow charts, and you'll get to a point at the end of 7
Just
flow charts.
Just do what's the
best.
Like, I don't like that.
Yeah, do what makes sense.
Because then I'm just two-handing it, which is fine.
Fine, but that's a different experience.
But to me, the Leader series is one of the better series out there for true solo designed games.
And people will say, oh, they're very similar to each other. That's fine. Just buy one. Buy the one
Pick
that
the
appeals to you thematically.
Gato Leader and Sherman Leader have been my 2 favorites. These are unique. Subs in the Pacific and tanks and men on the ground in Europe. You really like Phantom Leader.
Phantom Leader is...
Air war over Vietnam.
Yeah, jets over Vietnam, and it is just so good. And then Thunderbolt Apache Leader is close air support in Desert Storm. Boy, is that good. And
Never played that one.
And it is very different. The mission execution, the tactical execution is so different from Phantom Leader that I really don't see those as the same.
Yeah.
Now, Corsair Leader and Zero Leader, those could just be...
and throw Stuka Leader in there, because they're all pretty much the same.
Reskinning accusations with those.
Now, what I would say about those series, though, is they have done a good job of trying to expand on them.
Yeah.
It's not just the same thing crammed into a different colored box. They have added sometimes clunky things. Like in Stuka Leader, there's a very involved combat sequence. I'm not a huge fan.
Is that the same one from Zero Leader?
It's a little different, but it's similar. But it just, to me, it makes the game drag on. Because the game, Stuka Leader, I enjoyed it. It's about bombing. But then I get involved in so many dogfights, and I'm flying a
freaking Stuka.
A Stuka.
Like, you get shot down and die.
And I thought to myself, okay, I get it. I got to have a BF-109 or something. But it's just like, it didn't work for me as well as I wanted it to work. But I'm just saying they don't all reskin and just make it the same thing. They have tried to do innovations.
Yeah.
I think Greg Smith also does a great job with that. We don't have any of his games out here because I think we've overplayed those, but Silent Victory, The Hunters, The Hunted, Night Fighter Ace, America Bomber.
I mean, I have a bunch of those. Those are the classic narrative chart flipping ones.
Yep.
Your agency is more limited depending on which one you're doing, but
it tells such a great story.
It's an RPG almost at that point.
And you make the comment, and I've always adopted it because I think it's fantastic, where you say you get out of it what you put into it. If you're involved, if you care, if you're in your mind doing the theater of the mind as you make these chart rolls, and you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, there's another depth charge and it just missed me. Woo! I got away. That makes those games great.
That's really important in those kind of solitaire games. I also feel that way to a lesser extent, but I feel that way about the Leader series as well.
It's true, but I feel like it's a little less only because
there's more.
The narrative is all that's really there.
Yes, agreed.
Those Leader series, there's a tactical element to it where you're moving pieces around and shooting.
But the more you invest in it, the more you bring.
The more you get out of it.
It's even better.
I have loved Night Fighter Ace. I played that a couple of times. America Bomber, I liked it, but I didn't love it. American Tank Ace, very much enjoyed. I didn't play a lot of it, but that
one's quite different.
It is quite different.
The tactical execution.
It is. And then Silent Victory, to me, it's just a classic.
Silent Victory is a classic. I love that game.
I'll play that one at any time. I've got that on my shelf, and I'll play that at any time. So that's another genre that we're not necessarily going to dive into tonight.
But there's like reviews of all of those if you want to look into more of that stuff.
And to me, those are really great solitaire games because they do what it says on the box. It's a narrative-driven solitaire game. And I remember there's a reviewer out there, won't say the name, they played a narrative-driven, chart-flipping, dice-rolling game. And they were surprised that they didn't like it. And they threw it in the trash can, right? We all know. Not a bad guy.
I thought that was because the rules were bad.
That was part of it, but I also think he didn't like what he was doing.
Because the style of the game was not what was expected.
But if you don't want that, don't play a chart-flipping, narrative-driven, dice-rolling game. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of those games try to disguise that.
I think I agree there.
If you read on the back, it will use the words narrative-driven, chart-flipping, dice-rolling. You'll see those, right? I bring that up only because they're not for everybody.
That is definitely the case.
And I want to make sure and caution you, you're not going to like them if you don't like those kind of things. Just understand that.
Yeah.
So enough said about that. What did you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Valiant Defense.
Love those.
Because Valiant Defense is also from DVG, Danverson Games.
They do solo games pretty well. They really do.
So this is a series of games.
And I also own Soldiers in Postman's uniforms. I didn't bring it.
That might be my
It was pretty great.
favorite one.
But I didn't bring it because I I mean, I have a truckload of stuff.
So these are a series of games that are done by David Thompson, and
that's true for the first 4 volumes.
Yeah.
Number 5, which is on Kickstarter, I didn't mention that tonight.
Guadalcanal, baby.
Guadalcanal, Battle for Henderson Field by Vincent Cooper.
Which looks amazing.
And it's done by the same artist that did this one.
Yeah.
Nils Johansson.
Can you tell they changed
Huge
the artist?
Actually, I'm not a huge fan of the cover. But the board and the counters... I would go as far to say as I do not like it. Board and counters are amazing. And that cover is amazing.
Yes. This might be one of the best boards.
Oh, it's amazing.
In Wargames.
Beautiful. And these other boards are pretty good, too. They're just not artistically great. They're functional.
Yeah.
This one... Go ahead.
But this is a piece of art.
I can hang that on the wall.
Yes.
But... I started playing this game when Pavlov's House came out. I did a preview video for David because I thought the system looked great. We played this cooperatively.
Yes, it was really enjoyable.
The thing I really enjoyed about Pavlov's House is it has the strategic level, the operational level, and then the tactical level. Most of these others just have the tactical level.
Which is fine. That's what I really liked about this. It was very unique where you're like, you do this.
You're trying to get your supplies over here.
This.
And then you're trying to feed your people here to shoot.
Scales was so interesting.
Yeah.
And then it just became kind of like tactical solo games, which is fine, but like, I would love to see more of this.
Well, and Battle of Guadalcanal mimics this.
And I
it
think
has all 3 of those elements.
I think that's going to be a huge boon to it because that was the thing. Everyone loved this because of that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I will say this. My favorite wargaming series is the Valiant Defense series. Hands down. Followed second by, which I didn't bring tonight, the First Nations series. Comancheria, Navajo Wars.
Let us also add the qualifier Solitaire Wargames.
Solitaire Wargames series, sorry. Yeah. I love these. I love David's approach. I'm very interested in Vince's approach. I can't wait till that one comes out. I love these games. You can play these games in about 90 minutes. They're very involved, but they're easy to grok, easy to follow, and you get a lot of meat. I feel like I'm eating a T-bone steak when I play these games.
These are like really good. And they also, this Valiant Defense series, they highlight really, really specific tactical engagements that are unique and offer you something that you don't see in a lot of other war games.
Yeah, this one, Castle Itter, was like one of the final battles in the European theater over a castle. And literally the Americans fought with some German soldiers, a French tennis player, and some other dudes, right? Yeah. All against the Germans trying to take over. It's just crazy, right? Soldiers in postman's uniform. 1939, Polish post office number, I can't remember the number.
Yeah.
The Germans attacked in 39, and the post office workers...
The post office workers took up arms to defend themselves.
Amazing story of heroism.
Yes.
Land's Ridge, a sideshow to the Greater Battle of the Bulge. It has... you have like artillery, and then you have mortars, and then you have some medics that are Germans pretending to be medics, and they're really spotting you for... All these very cool historical elements have been crammed into these games. David does a hell of a job making these very playable. They're great. I can play any one of these games dozens of times and I'm never going to get tired of it.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
and they've really taken a step up with the artwork with number 4 and number 5. So that just makes those
that much better.
Yeah, that better to sit on the table and to ogle over. States of Siege?
Yep, let's do States of Siege. Never a bad thing.
States of Siege is a series that is very famous and we'll say classic at this point. And we have a number of different iterations of it.
And I've brought too many.
Classic.
And that's okay.
States of Siege started with what was the title? It was by Darren Leveloff, the Israeli Independence.
Yep.
Which is like this little baggy game that was from the old Victory Point games.
Yep.
So if you look at these are the Victory Point games, kind of second edition ones.
Pizza boxes.
Come in a small pizza box, right? Ooh. They used to have. I've got my Cruel Necessity. I've got the old one, which is the big pizza box.
This is the new deluxe edition from Worthington.
So
This is such a good game.
These old little Victory Point games.
Yeah.
The Victory Point games did a couple in these big deluxe boxes. Then they kind of stopped doing them. Worthington picked up the mantle and have printed a whole bunch of them. And then Victory Point games have again...
And Tabletop Tycoon.
Have started to redo a couple
Ottoman
of
Sunset, Habsburg Eclipse. The thing that I love about the States of Siege series, the system is basically a central point is being defended. In this zombie game, it's Farmington.
Yep.
And there's about 5 or 6 tracks that converge, and there's 7 or 8 points along each of those. And there are enemies moving down these different tracks, and you're pulling cards to determine events that are happening, sometimes you determine your number of action points that you get. But ultimately, it all boils down to you have to live a certain amount of turns while keeping them out of the center. And then you score your victory points at the end based on how well you did, and you compare that to historically. The thing I love about this series is the broad variety of topics.
Yeah, look at what we got here.
And this is just some of them.
Anglo-Zulu War, pre-Columbian Indians.
Yeah, this is like the Hopewell cultures in ancient America.
English Civil War, World War One
in the East.
Yeah, and then zombies.
And that's just 5 of the games. I've got 3 others here that are...
So these are from World War games.
Yeah, these are a different kind of... World War I, Kaiserkrieg, amazing. Jeff Davis, the American Civil War. You still need to play this one.
I probably will.
One thing I will say about this one is I love how Ben has integrated slavery into this game. Now, hear me out before you judge me. Slaves are used as a resource to gain certain advantages. When you use them up. The reality of the Southern economy was it was based on labor from slaves. So you take those slaves away, they lose their ability to do what they need to do. This one is about ancient Egypt. This is the newest one called Gift of the Nile. I think I just did an unboxing on the channel about this one.
There's a playthrough and a review that will come out eventually.
But this is my second favorite Solitaire series. And I have played so many of these games, and I've loved every single one of it. I have not played Zulus.
It's great.
Every other game here I have played. Multiple times.
Dawn of the Zeds is a bit unique. This works as a really good co-op game.
We have played it 2-player a dozen times.
This is like much bigger and broader, but you can do it solo, no big deal.
Yep.
And it's identical to the rest of these.
Yep.
But yeah, you have characters in this one, and you can run around and do things.
So I wanted to show you the box back so you can see the concept of the central point where there's 5 or 6 rotating tracks. You have the same...
This one is harder to see because it's numbers counting down.
The really cool thing about this game, and I really loved it, was the tactical combat sequence.
It's very cool.
Never seen that in a States of Siege series games. This is becoming quickly one of my favorites.
This is the most difficult
one as well. It's so crushingly difficult. So is this one.
Difficult.
And so is Habsburg Eclipse. I've won this one once, and I actually think I didn't win. I think I did something wrong.
I love Ottoman Sunset. I have this version of that. It's so good. But
States of Siege series, I love them. We own a lot of them. We would play, and that's what this is based on.
Yeah, so
and there's nothing wrong with that.
War of 1812 and Pacific War 1942 from Worthington. These are they're like stripped down.
Yeah.
Like States of Siege. It's although you're on the offensive, but you're trying to move down the tracks and they're trying to fight you back, and you don't have the deck of cards, it's just some dice rolling, but it's very, very similar conceptually. Not part of the States of Siege series, but...
There's the board for this one.
Yeah, you're trying to converge your forces on by doing very similar types of things.
Yep.
So that it's a very, very translatable mechanic as well.
And the series just works. States of Siege just works. Now, some people will complain there's not enough choice or player agency. They would also complain it's very reliant on dice rolling. I would argue that both of those work for the system that it is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. Not every game is going to be a detailed tactical simulation like Sherman Leader or IAF Leader or Thunderbolt Apache Leader. Those are different games. Everyone has room on their shelf for those kind of games where it's a little easier, to grok, a little easier to play. They play a little faster in an hour.
Yeah.
And there's so many topics. World War II, World War I, Civil War, everything.
Keep Up the Fire.
Oh, I didn't bring that one. That's
Keep
and that
Up
one's
the
over.
Fire is again, I think it's on the top of it. It's a stunning production.
Beautiful.
And a very unique topic. And
It's almost 2 games in one.
yes.
Because you're doing the tactical defense of the legation compound, but then there's this relief column over here. You're trying to move up to the countryside of China.
And they never make it.
And if they do make it, it's a miracle.
If they do make it, everyone's dead already.
Yeah,
I've never been able to get that game to
I have won that game one time, and I think I got every die roll I needed on the column.
Which is, yeah.
Which is
Blind luck. It's not.
It is.
It's
Some of those were modified.
so difficult.
But it's so hard. But yeah, it's a great one. I didn't even bring that one. But
that series is really, really good as well. Let's talk about the D-Day ad series.
oh, okay, yeah.
Because this is something that's, we've talked about some simpler ones.
Oh, D-Day. I'm sorry.
D-Day ads.
Yeah, D-Day ad.
These are the.
These are not D-Day.
These are kind of the big boys.
Can't reach it.
I got so many games. Yeah, it's fine. And again, I think we have all of these now.
So I own Tarawa, and I own, what's the other one? Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima.
Did I trade that one away? I think I traded it away.
I have Omaha Beach, and I do have
Peleliu.
but I've not played it. But I also have Saipan, which is the new one.
And you liked that one a lot.
Saipan's very good.
I need to play that one.
They went back to what they should have been doing the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I want to say one thing. John Butterfield, this is his series.
Yes.
He did the first, I think, 2 or 3. He did Omaha Beach. He did Tarawa. He did Peleliu. Then they gave it away to another designer. I'm not going to mention the name. I think he tried to make something out of it that it wasn't. He tried to make it a new game system, and I hated it.
And I also think the rule book was bad.
It was not very good.
They don't do themselves any favors.
Even the setup was not very good. But then in Saipan, they went back.
Yeah, they listened to the feedback because it was not just us. And Saipan is really good, and it feels like it's part of these ones.
Yeah.
Whereas Iwo Jima was kind of out doing its own thing. So this is a pretty big step up in complexity from some of the games.
Very, very crunchy system.
It's a crunchy hex encounter war game. Really, really clever and slick. Oh no! When did you do that?
What do you mean, when did I do it? I just went to WBC. Johnny Butterfield was there, and I got his signature on Space Corp and RAF, Battle of Britain.
I hate you.
And D-Day at Tarawa.
I hate you so much.
One other game I have of his. I can't remember.
Was it Enemy Action Kharkov?
No. Because you have that on your shelf.
That's why I didn't do it, because
Well, I was afraid he was going to punch me. I'm going to be honest. But anyway, I got his signature, so I feel pretty cool. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
I'm upset about that now.
Well, I got a lot of autographs this time.
But so
a lot.
John Butterfield is a very, very renowned.
Oh, Downfall. Oh, I had him and Kai.
Yeah.
Kai was there, so I had Kai.
Brilliant.
Obviously, Chad's not there, but Kai and John signed that one.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's
I was
nice.
pretty stoked.
John Butterfield is like the Solitaire game designer, basically.
I wanted to show the map.
Yes, we'll kind of
talk
hold that
about
up
the
here in a
zones.
second, because this is kind of one of the things. This and RAF really made his name for. These are two of those.
RAF is so good. I also enjoy that game because we've played it 2-player.
Yeah,
it was great.
That's one I could do. But this is such a smart system.
Yeah.
And instead of the AI being like a die roll on a chart or whatever, it's.
Let's hold the map up so we can talk about the
basically,
zones
there's all this different color coding on it with dots,
it looks busy.
It does. And it takes a little bit getting used to.
But it makes sense.
But basically, these are like fields of fire from strong points.
You get those, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, I've had that in my box since I bought this in 2018. So,
Brilliant.
sorry. Yeah.
You'll have like this little red bunker shoots its machine guns in this red field of fire, and it'll have regular fire. This one, and it'll also have like degrading fire, which looks slightly different.
One thing I would say about the system, though, is these can't fire if there's multiple. You can only be fired on once
in a hex.
It makes for it tries to make it a game when the reality is you'd been fired on by every single one of those.
But basically, the entire game works by pulling these cards
for everything,
and you will, depending on what phase of the game it is, you'll look at a different part of the card. But then you'll get to like enemy fire, and it'll be red, purple, and whatever this
blue,
olive, khaki
green,
color. Yeah. Like those ones will fire. So if you have guys sitting in yellow, guess what? They're not getting shot on this card. If you have guys in the green, not getting shot on this card. So that the way
just works.
that works is really, really clever. It's really slick. It's really smart. But these are big games, right?
Well,
this is going to be hours to play.
This one, the first time I played it, I played the entire campaign, and it took me like parts of 3 days. I want to say like 14 hours, but I loved every second of it. It was that engaging and that fun and that interesting.
And a lot of these are the same way. So Omaha Beach is 2 to 8 hours because you can lose it real quick. This has some really stiff get on the beach conditions. So you can lose it real quick. But then they also have like different stopping points.
Yes,
so that
scenarios.
Yeah, so that you can say, okay, I'm just going to do the initial waves and get up the cliffs. But if you want to do like the, going inland a half a mile or a mile, you can do that. That's going to take you the...
This one says 2 to 8 hours. It took me forever because I was trying to grok this. First time I'd ever played it.
This was the first one that we had played as well. I think I bought this afterwards, or I had played it afterwards. So, but these are not necessarily for the faint of heart.
These are serious solitaire
30, 40-page rule book. Pretty dense. But if you want a solitaire game with meat on it, and you are doing something very difficult, these are... I can't overstate how good they are.
Well, these are really, truly like a gourmet meal. You're going to play this and live this for 2 to 8 hours.
If I play this on my own, that's a similar satisfying experience to playing Normandy 44.
Yeah.
It's that level of depth and crunch and decision and meat. You just did it without having someone else there.
And the other thing I would say about that entire series is the rules generally are the same for each of the volumes. They add some complexities, some unique units and uniqueness about it.
A bit of nuance in certain situations.
But you're going to kind of be, except for the Iwo Jima one, you're going to be able to play one and then you can pick up the others and learn the nuances of it.
The core engine of it with that card play, with the fields of fire, with the steps and how the units function, what you're looking for to attack bunkers, a lot of that's transferable. So if you really like it, guess what? You pick up the next one, you're good to go.
And the other thing I really enjoy about that system is the multi-use cards. Those cards are used for everything.
Very clever.
When you're on your landing craft, they are used for the drift and the shift, and you can be hit by fire, and then you have to wade in.
I have so much extra stuff in here.
Well, now you have those new extra counters.
But I have all these extra blades and stuff.
Those are nice.
Yeah, it's...
But the cards are also used when you do an assault, or when you're fired upon to determine who's firing, and it's just so well done.
I have also played this on Vassal, which is just sometimes you just don't want to have it set up. And you just I do a couple turns, and then I go back to it a few days later and do a couple turns. I swear I had a display for the cards.
Oh, okay.
Where it says the 8 different phases of the game, and you pull the card and you lay it out on the display, and the display tells you, hey, when you're pulling the card for this phase, remember to look at these and these little exceptions.
I feel like this has that.
That was on... I remember seeing it on Vassal. I remember using it on Vassal.
I feel like this game has
see if I have one of those. Because that was also a really good aid.
Yeah, right here.
The memoir.
So it has LVT cards, landing checks, card deck, event.
It's on the map.
Yeah, it's on the map.
And you pull the card and you do what they're... That's one of the other great things about John's games is they usually have good UI in them as well.
Yeah.
It's good layout.
Go ahead and grab RAF because we're talking about the great John Butterfield.
So
I got my copy autographed to you.
So this is...
That was England there, buddy.
This is RAF, the Battle of Britain, 1940. So Decision Games.
I could have
put this
very
out.
easily taken your rulebooks. I just didn't think about it.
I didn't think about it either. So I have a ton of extra dice in this one as well, which
Custom dice?
no. Indeed, the
plenty of
dice you
custom.
don't use the dice. These dice are for if they're flying, patrolling.
Oh, that's right.
As opposed to landing. Is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I use them for. So RAF is this is a really interesting package. If you buy this from Decision Games, it comes in like a 3 or 4 inch box now, and all the maps are mounted, and it's like $120.
It's deluxeified.
This is an older version of it, although the contents are effectively the same.
I think I have the oldest version of this. This is your newer of the older versions.
I think you have the second. This is 3rd edition, I think.
Okay, and I think I have
You
second.
have second. There is a 1st edition by like a different company.
Got it.
I'm not sure if that's true. But yeah, this basically, this has a bunch of different kind of games in one. So you have RAF Lion, where that's the Solitaire campaign that I played. You play as the RAF. You are defending Britain and the home islands against the Germans during the Battle of Britain, right? It's a tower defense style game. It's a campaign game. It's incredible, wonderful. There's also what's called RAF Eagle, where it's the reverse of that. So there's a different map for it with different UI, different setup. You are the Luftwaffe trying to do the bombing campaign against Britain during the Battle of Britain. Really neat, really cool, but playing as the baddies, and I don't know.
Some people don't like that. And I get it.
I'm the English guy. And then there's also the 2-player version. I can't remember the name for it, but it has one. Oh, it's just RF 2-player. How boring. And so that's what we played together as well. So,
and had a blast.
Yeah, and it's literally like you played as the Luftwaffe, I played as these, and there's like a hidden screen, and instead of it either side being controlled by AI, you play with like the full rules. So it's almost like a bluffing game at that point. You are picking out and constructing your attacks within parameters, picking times, picking locations, and going and trying to execute those, going through the tactical combats and stuff.
Yeah.
That was really, really enjoyable as well. Because it's 2-player, it takes a bit longer, whereas when you're playing it Solitaire...
I feel like we played it and it was like 4 or 5 hours.
Yes.
And I don't think we played the full game.
No, we did not.
Yeah.
We played like 2 days.
Yeah.
And the reality is the way that this abstracts time, because it covers, I want to say 40 or 50 days.
Okay, so a couple of months.
But the way that the time slip works, you'll only do like 15 days worth of stuff. Because they're like
not every single day.
Yeah, and it was big and
sometimes things didn't happen,
or they didn't happen here, or they were negligible,
right.
or it's just a way to abstract it, and it's an aggregation. The campaign arc is wonderful.
One of the things I enjoyed when we played it 2-player and I played as the Luftwaffe was just your target selection. It was just so unique.
And it's
it's just what do I do? Where do I go? Do I try to bluff here, feint?
Or do I just hammer the same place
again, over and
over
and over again.
And again, but then you draw your forces in,
Yep.
or it does, and it's the double bluffing and double guessing, like, oh, he's going to do this.
He's trying to do that,
Oh, it's a feint. Oh, it's so good. But Solitaire, you also get a lot of that same stuff. The Solitaire AI, and this is generally pretty clever within the card parameters that it does. Sometimes you get it doing like lots of different things, and you get the reprieve. But then that's the whims of Hermann Goering, and that's awesome because that's what happened historically. They were bombing the crap out of these airfields and airstrips, and the RAF was like, "Uh-oh, this is bad." Then they accidentally bombed London, and then they switched targets. And as much as the Blitz was awful, every day they bombed London was a day they weren't bombing the airstrips, and the RAF was able to build back. And that's eventually what lost them the Battle of Britain. And you get some of that in there.
It's just a numbers game, right? It's trying to get more aircraft up and things going and rested pilots.
And so it reminds me of Leader in that way, where it's like, your pilots die. Okay, you get green pilots. They suck.
Yeah.
You have to go and fly them. then they become ungreen. But
Yeah.
that was extremely risky, and you probably were going to lose a bunch of them anyway.
Yeah.
And getting the airplane production and the pilots back, and
so good.
one of those resources you get a lot more of than the other, and it's like, oh, it's such a good system.
Yeah.
It's a classic. It's been 3 or 4 editions now for a reason.
I'm glad I have my copy. I've not played it solo yet, but I've got it, and I need to.
You've got to, well, yeah, you got to do it. It's so good.
I'm going to go ahead and talk about a newer series real quickly, and I won't spend much time on this. I've done full review playthrough of this. I've shot a full review and playthrough. I think it's probably on the channel in the next couple of months.
Yeah, it'll come up.
But these are from Revolution Games, Take Aim Designs. This one's called Stalingrad Advance to the Volga. This is the, what's it called? Solitaire Area Movement Series. This is Volume 1, Stalingrad Advance to the Volga. Volume 2 is Manila, the Savage Streets. So the concept of these is you are activating an area, you're moving units into an adjacent area, you're doing combat. If you win, and you win by a certain amount, you take that area over, kick them out, and you can continue. If you win, but you don't win by enough, you have to stop. If you lose, you stop, you exist together in that space, and then bad things are going to happen to you. But it's a very cool, very quick playing. These both play in about 90 minutes, but they're very meaty. You have all kinds of air assets you can buy. You can repair and replace units. Very good system. Yeah, I had it turned upside down like a moron. I thought the box was, and I'm like, no, I've got it. It's my box. But that's the beauty in this series, is you make a ton of choices about the air assets, the ground assets. This one has like engineers, artillery, and planes. This one has engineers, artillery, and plane, and you need to decide, based on what variants you're using, what do I really need? It's just a really well done system that works very easily. It's fun.
And it's a game of like pushing, right?
Yeah, it's push your luck.
Go, go.
If you can keep going and move 3 or 4 areas, that's going to do you really well. If you're moving area by area, you're not going to win, because you have to defeat, like in this one, I think you have to control 90% of the board. This one, it's like 88% of the board by the end of the game. If you don't, you lose. So very fun. These are Mike Ranella designs. They are working on the 3rd volume, which is Berlin. Battle of Berlin.
Yeah.
So really like these, and these are newer series. You can still get these, and they're just fantastic. I've got another one. If you
Let's bring this.
So you've never played any of these, and I feel really bad. I bought most of these during COVID, right? When COVID was a thing, I bought these online because I was playing solitaire games. These 3 games, Agricola, Master of Britain, Charlemagne, Master of Europe, and Aurelian, Restorer of the World, are a specific series from Hollandspiel. These are designed by Amabel Holland. These use a very cool 3-cup system. And what you're doing between these 3 cups is you're trying to take actions to manipulate those cups into your favor. So in these cups, you have a hostile cup. Those guys are wanting to kill you. You have a neutral cup. They don't care. And then you have a friendly cup, and they are helping you. So all of your actions are going to piss people off or help people. So you're trying to balance. You've got to go out and combat. You've got to go out and take areas. You've got to go out and build infrastructure like walls and roads and chapels and other things. Really like the elements that are included in this game. But you've got to manage that cup, because if it gets too many units in it, it's going to snowball and you're going to die. All of these have that kind of victory condition or loss condition where if you get too many units, and you're gonna die. All play in, this one plays in about hour and a half. This one plays in about 3 hours, much longer Charlemagne. This one is kind of in between. It's about an hour and 20 minutes.
Is this on the channel?
I never did a video on that one. I did a video on this one. I wrote stuff on this one. I never wrote anything on that.
I know you've talked about it, so I feel like I know this one because you've talked to me about it a lot.
A review video. I never did a video on that one. Or this one. I did a bunch of written stuff. But they're such great games. I recommend these highly. They're from Hollandspiel. Once again, Charlemagne, Aurelian, and Agricola. I would love to see...
And this is loosely the 3-Cup series.
It's called the 3-Cup series. I would love to see Amabel do some more. They're just really good.
Yeah.
So, just great little war games. Another series from Hollandspiel that I have really, really enjoyed, The Wars of Marcus Aurelius by Robert Dulesky and Stilicho, Last of the Romans from Robert Dulesky, both from Hollandspiel. These are not States of Siege series game, but they share some of the mechanics. So let me show you. And I've got a canvas map in that one, not a canvas map in this one. But this is Wars of Marcus Aurelius, and you have different fronts, and you're having to beat back the barbarians. You can see there's different spaces. These are their terrain values, so as you get them closer to their home, they're better. They know the terrain, they understand the terrain. But you've got to quell all 3 of these tribes to win the game. Utterly difficult. The same thing in here. You've got to quell all 3 of the... This is more States of Siege series. But excellent card-driven games. I love these. And they are crushingly difficult.
Good.
This one, historically, Stilicho lost his head by turn 3. I've lost my head between turn 2 and 5 a dozen times. But I've also won the game because I did what I knew I needed to do, and I got some luck. The same with Wars of Marcus Aurelius. I think my record on this, and I'm not joking, I wrote it down one time, I've played 18 games, I've won 7 and lost 11. And the first 7 or 8 times, I wasn't even close. And then I grokked it and I figured it out and I started to win more. But these are excellent solitaire games. These are going to run you about $45. They're print on demand. The same with those 3-Cup series. They're just fantastic.
Okay.
You want to talk about 65?
Very briefly.
And I'll talk a couple more.
I'm going to talk about 65. We also have 89. So 65, squad level combat in the jungles of Vietnam. This is one of the few games to call back today where, like,
it's designed 2-player.
This is a 2-player game. However, when it was released, there was a separate expansion. It's down at the bottom there.
Okay. Because we need to play that one too.
We do, yes. There's a separate expansion called Alone in the Jungle, and it is a full module with full dedicated scenarios, rules, cards, and pieces.
This was a fun game.
To make it solitaire. Right. The game itself was really good. It's this 2-player tactical CDG. But when I played it solitaire with the solo module, Alone in the Jungle, I was honestly blown away. And part of that is to do with the scale of the scenarios. Like, this is a guy, or it's 2 guys on a counter. And the hexes are these huge, like, 1-inch affairs, and the maps are really not very big.
And aren't they, if they remember, they're cards.
Yeah, and so,
and
like,
there's multiple
you'll have,
cards.
Like, 2 cards, and it's 100 yards.
Yeah.
And you're fighting through the boom grass and the trees,
the rice paddies,
and it is trying to spot the enemy and trying to fight the enemy.
Yeah.
And then the solitaire stuff, because of how small and tight the maps are, that makes the enemy movement ingenious, because on huge, big scale maps, that's really difficult to do intelligently. Whereas in this, it's like, you know, they might move to, like, the nearest cover. Okay. They're going to move, like, 2 hexes. And it's like this sneaking around, running around in this close quarters, close combat stuff. It feels so good in the Vietnam situation. I honestly, this... For solitaire tactical gaming, this might be my favorite. It was so cool. And so they just released the
1989.
Yeah, kind of the 1980s Soviets in Afghanistan, which also has the solo mod. And
what's that one called? Alone in the Mountains?
I think so.
Something like that.
I have extremely high expectations.
Yeah.
This is really hard to get a hold of. I don't know if you can get it. It's available anymore.
They need to do a reprint.
They do, and I think they may have done. But like,
because this is such a good 2-player game.
Yeah.
Squad level tactical, uses really cool card mechanics. They're multi-use cards.
It's just slick.
I love it.
And like,
we played 3 or 4 missions of this, and I remember thinking, damn, that's good.
And you know, so some of these tactical games, it's like, yeah, it's a tactical game. Boy, this game felt cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
And not in like a grand cinematic way, but like in a platoon going up to a house and shooting through the walls kind of way. Like it is it's like brutal. And it was such an engaging experience. I'm really looking forward to 89.
We need to put that on the docket to play.
If you have any interest in this, get it now. Because they take a long time to reprint things. Yeah. And
well, they're a small company and they have a lot of projects. They have 4 or 5 projects going on at any one time.
Yeah, and like...
They just fulfilled Old School Tactical Volume 4. I've got it at home. Haven't done an unboxing or anything.
Yeah, and they've got Rocket Chickamauga coming to Kickstarter soon. So like, but like this went out of print real quick and was unavailable for years. So like, if you want to get 89, kind of buy it sight unseen almost.
Great system. I absolutely love it. I'm going to hit real quickly, and I've talked about on the monthly update these. These are Mike Lambo's Solitaire book war games. They are utterly fantastic. This one is Battles of Kursk, his newest. So this is German and Soviet, focused on infantry and accoutrement, right?
Combined arms stuff.
Combined arms. This one is Lone Sherman the Pacific. You are literally playing as a single Sherman tank in any number of scenarios in the Pacific island hopping campaign. Very cool dice assignment mechanics. You're rolling a bunch of dice, assigning the numbers to the actions you can do. It's a little bit of arts and crafts time. You're gonna cut out counters and you're gonna make copies and then you're gonna play it, but it is such a good system.
You get 12 little scenarios in it, it's very valuable.
And there's about 25 of these books and they cost about $20 on Amazon. I recommend these highly. These are the two that I have not yet. Okay. I've set it up and started, but I had to shut it down because...
Does it look very different?
It is very different. Okay, it is very different. Yep. I'm very much excited.
To be cut and paste. Yep. That's really nice.
I'm very much excited for that one. Very much looking forward to it. I also wanted to... I did a full review and playthrough of this. This is the Battle of Mackinac Island. Have you ever played a game on the Battle of Mackinac Island, Alexander?
Have you ever heard of the Battle of Mackinac Island?
This is during the War of 1812. This was a very stupid American mission to attack the Battle of Mackinac Island, or to attack Mackinac Island. It didn't go well, and it doesn't go well in the Solitaire game. It's a 2-player game as well, but it has a very cool solo system. I have enjoyed playing this one. I've only won it like once, but I keep going back to it. I haven't played it for a couple of months, but Matt Kelly, this is Snafu Design. They're going to do a whole bunch of these.
I hope so.
This is the Small Pocket Battle series, and this is number 1? Yeah, kind of small. The only other game I want to talk about, and I have others, but I'll not talk about them. This was one of the games that I fell in love with pretty early on, designed by Herman Lettman. Attack of the 50-Foot Colossi, and I know that sounds ridiculous. This is a sci-fi set game in the Invaders from Dimension X series, whole mouthful, from Tiny Battle Publishing.
Not Herman Lettman and mouthfuls in his titles.
Yeah. And not Herman Lettman in another good solo playing game, solitaire game. I love this game because it's very cinematic. You are playing as Space Marines. You're flying around, you're doing jumps, you're using big drills, and you're fighting these 50-foot rock creatures. And it's just I've never seen a solo AI that is more intelligent than this. And it's very easy to use. It's card-based, and it just works really well. I have played this about a dozen times. I've only won like once or twice, but it is really cinematic, it's really good, and it's really fun. I wish they would make a boxed version of it, but it plays fine for what it is. So, Tiny Battle Publishing, if you didn't know about that. So I think that's all I've got. I've got others, but
we could go on for literally forever, because solo gaming is an endless endeavor for me.
Well, and it seems to me there are a number of solo games that are being put out, right? It's accelerating because people aren't lucky like us. They don't have a gaming group. They don't have someone to play with.
Or they do once a week or once a fortnight.
It's tough to get together.
But I don't want to do my hobby once a week or once a month. I want to do it all the time.
Solo gaming, you can do it anytime.
And I think, I think back to the old days when there was like one solo game.
Sure.
right? Like, Ambush was invented and people were like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And so they made a few more, and there's different things that you could do. But I also think that we live in a time now where solitaire gaming is in vogue, it's big, it's not embarrassing of like, oh, I play a little board game on my own. Like, everyone owns it and is proud of it. And so, like, yeah, so the market for, I think, solo wargaming is huge. And there's more of it being put out there, or people are making solo mods for their larger, multiplayer war games.
And I actually feel like many two-player, multiplayer war games are coming out with real workable solitaire systems.
Yes.
Because they want people to be able to enjoy them in the solitude of their home, or a winter day, or when you just can't get friends together. And the reality is sometimes you can't get your group together.
Yeah.
So I have really come a long way in my solitaire playing. You remember, I used to hate it. Like, I was like, why are you doing that, Alexander? And then
why are you learning a 60-page rule book for Fields of Fire?
Yeah,
we didn't even talk about that,
Fields of Fire.
Which is, yeah.
But I have grown to love it, and I think it's because I took a risk. I found some systems and some topics I really wanted to learn about, and I played those games and I've gotten hooked. And now I'm telling you, I play 15 to 20 solo games a year, and I love them. I love playing them. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yep.
But I love solo gaming.
Solo wargaming. Let us know what your favorite solo war games are, your favorite solo systems are, how you got into solo wargaming. Put that in the comments, let us know. But appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander for theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.